This is the Conversations with the Mind podcast, where we explore consciousness through conversations with interesting people. Our mission is to engage the collective mind piece by piece to bring greater clarity of mind to our listeners locally and across the planet, and to contribute to broaden the shared experiential knowledge and wisdom of existence. Let's just go. Okay. Hello, YouTube. All right, folks. This is Conversations with the Mind, episode 54. I'm your host, Shane Lemaster, and we're here with very special guest, Christopher Jimenez. How are you, sir?
I'm great. How are you doing?
Good. Can you hear me all right?
I can hear you perfect.
Okay. Try and come a little bit closer.
Can you?
Yeah, cool. Or maybe I can turn up your volume here a little bit. All right, so this is the first episode, obviously, that we are using the new audio equipment, which is really exciting.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, thanks. You like the studio?
Oh, I love it. I wish I had just all these like foam stuff on my walls at home.
Would it help? Yeah, because you stream your video game stuff, right?
Yeah, I would like to do a little more often than I do now, but I like to do that kind of stuff.
Nice. Yeah. Okay, so first question, just got to get it out of the way, and this is the same question I give everybody. What does Conversations with the Mind mean to you? I mean, as a phrase, as an idea, what sort of pops inside of your head when you hear that?
Okay. So conversation with the mind. I feel like as a person, our minds are just full of perspective, and that's from your different parts of your body, because all your sensory stuff comes from all around you: touch, taste, sight, all that kind of stuff. And what it means to me is when it's just accumulation of all that information from your body to your mind, and it just tells you where you are on Earth, pretty much. So if I close my eyes, it's like, okay, I'm in, like, my mind's telling me you're in the dark, and with all everything else coming at you at one time, that's when mind it's just like they're conversating with each other, meaning my hand is touching the table and it's also telling me that I see the table, and it just kind of accumulates to that kind of stuff. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Okay. I know it can go in a circle with it too.
Did you hear that?
Yeah, I did.
Okay,
yeah, I did.
cool. I'm trying out these new buttons. I meant to push this one.
Okay.
Oh no, this. I don't know.
Yeah. I was like, my idea was that bad, huh?
No.
That's a long laugh.
Yeah, it is. Good joke. Good job.
Thanks.
No, that's my new soundboard. But I love that you talk about, you bring the body into it and the senses. But the way you talk about it is so interesting because you're talking about an accumulation of all these separate senses, right?
Mm-hmm.
So each one is a separate conversation that it's having. Maybe it goes into the brain computer and has this interface, and then the brain somehow makes sense of all these things together. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's the conversation between each one of these individual voices, I guess, right? Yeah. And I love that you bring in the body, because one of my favorite things to talk about when it comes to therapies or spiritual growth or personal development is the body-mind connection. And I don't think a lot of people really talk about that. Mm-hmm. We sort of talk about the mind and the body most of the time as two separate things, and when we're talking about it, we're focused on one or the other. There's not enough emphasis sometimes on the connection between the two and what that means and how that happens. And that's exactly what it reminded me of when you're talking about it. You have all these senses and everybody can connect with that, and then how does that manifest into meaning for us, and how do we respond to that, and things like that. And so that's awesome.
It's just, for me, that's what I learned the best, by hearing it and doing it, and because it comes from your mind gets the information of how to do something from two different perspectives. If someone was telling me how to do this in a video game, I can hear it, but if I see it, I get two different perspectives. Okay, I have a better understanding.
So it enhances.
Exactly.
With every sense that you incorporate into the interpretation, it enhances your ability to make sense.
Yeah, it helps me understand it better.
Right. So that brings up the idea or the question that I have for you, so we know our big five senses, right? Sight, touch, smell, taste, and sound. We know of some lesser known, not lesser known, but everyone experiences these, and they're named actually, but most people don't know the names of these things, and I don't even know them off the top of my head. We could look them up if we wanted, but like your sense of time, your sense of your body and space, your sense of balance, you know, all these things have names to them, and they're sensory, you know, they're based in sensory organs too, just like touch and taste and all these things. So incorporating those two help with meaning.
Yeah.
Do you think like there might be any senses that we have capable in our body that maybe we haven't tapped into, or that maybe we've forgotten how to tap into those kind of senses, that if we did, maybe it would greatly enhance our ability to move through the world?
I don't think that there's a sensory that we've not forgot how to use. I just think that we forget to use that sense in general, and taking that information and adding it to the just like what more you know. The more you know, like it's kind of hard to say. Like how we use that sensory, like that information that we get from our mind. I feel like people just like, oh well, it's cold. You know, you put on a jacket if it's cold. I feel like some people just forget to do some of those kind of easy things. I don't know, like we should have a balance. Some people are just clumsy, I guess, and they don't. Oh, if I do this, this will make me clumsy, but they don't help them not be clumsy. I don't know how to. It's really hard to put it in words.
Sorry, but you did say like there's like senses that we might have forgotten, right? That
yeah, I mean,
or that we don't use.
Yeah, we don't.
So we don't practice them enough. So
Exactly.
like you don't use it, you lose it.
Yeah, well, it's like if you don't use it enough, you forget to use it from your mind.
So what do you think some of those senses are that we maybe don't use? What about common sense? I know a lot of people that don't use common sense. I see it every day. You just go to Walmart and you just stand in one place.
Yeah, it's just like what? I don't know. I'm trying to think of one that I personally don't use enough, and I'm not trying to say that I use all my senses. I'm just probably forgetting some. Like you said, there's probably a sense that I don't use enough, and I forgot how to use it in that sense. So
I think it's possible that well, I read this, and I mentioned on the podcast before, there's this anthropologist I read about who studied ancient cultures, and there's legends of human beings having over 300 different senses.
Wow.
Right? And now
that's a lot.
and now we can only usually name 5, and when you ask anybody on the street, they can only name 5, or maybe 6, but yeah, that we used to have over 300. It was like 340 or something like that, and that makes me wonder, like, you know, we haven't changed genetically that much since those times. Therefore, those senses should still be in there, but somehow we've been maybe conditioned out of it because of culture or society, or maybe we've just forgotten. You know, I heard the other day on another podcast that we might be losing some of our senses or our ability to move through the world because our focus is being diverted more towards other things. So now we're devoted more towards like online type communication and
definitely
diversion of energy, right? And now people are losing their ability to go out in the world and actually be social with human beings face to face. We're losing our ability to read facial expressions and social cues and things like that in favor of other senses. Yeah.
I feel like that can be the sense of touch. You know, some people, you can put your hand on their shoulder and that someone can mistake it for, you know, comfort or an attack. You know, some people just don't have that social interaction, like you said, and that's actually pretty scary to not know someone's facial expressions in a conversation.
Totally.
Yes. And that is a good point. Especially where, you know, we have, they said, who said it, 300 centuries?
Yeah, I don't remember his name. He was an anthropologist, PhD.
I also feel like that could be like a sensory overload for some people. And it's like, okay, I have to kind of like, it's kind of like that, you know, you have a secret power of reading people's minds. And, you know, when a person gets that power for the first time, they get like so overloaded with people's thoughts that they go crazy or they can't take it anymore. So I wouldn't know what to do with 300 senses.
Right, and that's some of the senses that he was maybe saying were could have been possible, like levitation could have been a thing back in the day, or telepathy.
Yeah.
Right before language was even a thing, we might have had a sense to. Oh, that was part of the conversation I heard the other day too. Is like, because we rely so much on verbal language, we've lost a lot of our ability to communicate non-verbally.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because we rely so much on it, but it's so it doesn't do any. Right. We're having a tough time describing things using language. It doesn't do justice to concepts.
Yeah. And it's, you know, and I feel like the more time you spend with somebody, you know, you can look at them like, you know, and you know exactly what they're thinking, kind of thing. So it could just be more of that, that sense of being around people, you know, kind of where your body is in space.
But if you don't use it, you lose that.
I guess so.
If you don't put yourself around people, you're not going to gain the ability to. You can't gain the ability to be social from a book. You can improve your ability, but you have to go out and practice.
It's like, you know, we both do jiu-jitsu. If I just sit in a room watching jiu-jitsu videos, that doesn't mean I necessarily know how to do them.
Nope.
Exactly. You have to go out there and do it.
Yeah, I love going sometimes to like when we go watch fights at bars and stuff. And I'm always sober, so I get to hear the interesting conversations of like drunk people around. It's not our table, but like other people watching, and you hear those armchair warriors who are sitting there, and they're like, I've been watching the UFC since the first one, and I know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm like, hey bro, where do you train? It's like, I don't train. It's like, okay.
In my garage.
Yeah, you know what you're doing. Right? No, and you know that too now from experience, that until you feel it, until you've had it done on you by somebody else, like you're not gonna grasp the physics behind it, or you have to know the endpoints of these joints, right? You have to feel it on someone else, be like, okay, this is where the joint stops. If I push it any further, it's going to do damage, and it's important to know that.
Yeah, and it's just, that's like I said, like how I learn in everything pretty much. Is like, if I, like, for my job where I have to dig, there's a wrong way to dig, you know, and sometimes people tell me, like, hey, you need to dig this way, and I'm like, show me. Like, and it's just with jiu-jitsu. It's where you need to know the beginning and an end point, and then have it done to yourself so you know how it feels like.
Yeah.
And that's where my conversation goes when someone's on me and it's like, okay, I need to do this.
That's good. Yeah. No, that's where your mind should be, is on the task, right? It should be on, what do I need to do to make my situation better? Because most people will make the mistake, and it's natural to. I did too at the beginning. When you get sat on for the first time, your mind doesn't go, what do I need to do to get out? But it's like, oh God, this sucks. I'm going to die.
I need to make this stop.
Right. So your mind goes and focuses only on the aspect of pain or discomfort. That's going to happen anyway. Yeah. Your thinking about it is not going to make it better. Therefore, what will make it better is getting out, and you should be thinking on what's going to help you.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
So that's a lot of what jiu-jitsu teaches you too, is learning to be comfortable in the uncomfortable. Right. So someone will put heavy pressure on you. You know, me or Joe will drive this shoulder of justice into your face, and you'll have that thought like, what do I need to do to get out of here? And then you do it, right? You get out. That translates over into your everyday life now when you're getting the shoulder of justice from life, and you're feeling like you're just getting your face smashed to the ground, now you're like, okay, I'm not dying.
Yeah.
Where do I focus? Do I focus on how bad it's making me feel? No. I focus on what's going to get me out of this position.
And usually that gives you kind of a, not necessarily escape, but since they're so focused on their shoulder being in your face, it's like, all right, let me just go sneak around here, kind of thing. So, opportunities.
Right. Sometimes there's some baiting too.
Yeah, exactly.
So you want to make someone think that this is what you want, and then you're actually doing something.
Or, like, say it's uncomfortable, because it is, and make them think that, hey, this is so uncomfortable, I have to do this, and that's your bait. Exactly. It's not that bad.
Exactly. So I have this book behind me. It's Anatomy of Martial Arts and Pressure Points, and I try and study and incorporate those type of things into my jiu-jitsu too, even though those things aren't really taught too much.
Yeah.
But little things that are legal and totally valid, on the street they would work, whatever. But little things, like if you need somebody to move, if you want somebody to shrimp away from you because you want to catch a Kimura and trap the head, right? But they're just not creating enough distance for you to be able to do that. Like dig your little knuckle like into their rib.
No one likes that.
No one likes that. They want to move, right?
Like, ow, stop that.
Yeah, and so they move into a position that you want them, and you take advantage. There's some people would say that's dirty, some people wouldn't. I think it's totally valid. I mean, if it happens in real life on the street, for sure you can use that, right? Even worse things, right?
I mean, I haven't had like fingers in my eyes, but definitely, a palm in your face.
Totally.
I've had someone put their mouth over my mouth so I can't breathe through my mouth.
Your hand over.
Their hand over.
You said your mouth over.
My mouth over their hand. Their hand over my mouth, and it's uncomfortable, sure, but you just find ways to use that to your advantage.
Exactly. Yeah. So you learn that being uncomfortable is not the end of the world.
Yeah.
That you're gonna be okay. Just gotta figure out a way.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people miss out on that who don't do jiu-jitsu, and honestly, I don't know how they do it. I don't know how they go through life just dealing with everyday problems without some kind of challenge like that tests them.
And like I said, with the sensories, I can see what their hands are doing, right? But I can't necessarily see their feet, so that's why I use my foot to gain information, and that's like you're always conversating with your mind at that point. You're always receiving information, so that's what I like to do. That's what it means to me anyway.
Nice.
Conversating with the mind when I use it every day, like you said. It's like I don't understand how people do it or don't do it, and I think it leads to a boring life sometimes. It's just because you're not using your whole body, your capacity of learning and doing, and probably the reason why I started jiu-jitsu in the first place. So
it sounds like you've had experience with the other side of it where you're not paying attention to the different conversations going on, or maybe some of the conversations are ruling your life rather than you kind of dictating.
Yeah, exactly. Instead of using the information, they're just leading me, and I guess
automatically.
Yeah, exactly.
You're like a slave to them almost.
Yeah.
Huh.
It's like, necessarily like addiction, I guess, could be that way. So, you're dependent on the sensory part of your body. You need it all the time, where it's leading your actions instead of in a positive way, I guess.
Have you ever had an addiction?
No. I don't really use drugs or drink alcohol, so that's not the only form of addiction.
Sure.
But yeah, I guess I could say I was addicted to video games. At one point in time, where I was like, oh hey, I'm done with work, time to play video games, that kind of thing. And I can make up a whole bunch of excuses for that, but it's probably an addiction in itself. So
sure. But you've experienced that kind of mindset where you're not engaging your potential. So jiu-jitsu for you, even from the beginning, it sounds like you were searching. You were looking for something to bring the best out in you. So what drove you to jiu-jitsu? Like, why not pick up painting or something? Or gymnastics?
Well, I do love learning. That is one thing.
Come a little closer.
Oh, sorry. I do love learning. So when I first saw any form of jiu-jitsu, like Mel would always practice on me when she first started, and I was like, oh, I don't want you to do this on me, kind of thing. But I've never seen it from another perspective. I've always been the person being used as the tool, to learn something. And it's like, okay, that's okay. But when I think it was the first time I saw Mel's tournament, her first tournament, and I met some the guys at the gym. I was like, so this is what it's all about. And I was like, okay, I can get
this. Is why you keep coming back.
Yeah, I was like, I can understand that. So it took me a while, but then I finally joined. But when I first started, it was like, okay, I can really, because I'm being shown what the move is, like a move in class. I'm being told what the move is verbally, and then I get to spend however long on the move. So it really goes through all the senses for me that I like to learn. And so it's not just sitting in a classroom and I'm watching a PowerPoint, and it's just that for me that's boring. Like, I was like, I'm not messing with it in my hands. I'm not there with it. So that's why I like jiu-jitsu, because I'm hands-on.
Do you think that's why you're drawn to the type of work you do too? It's very physical.
It is very physical, and I feel like even before I did this job, I worked in signs, and it was a very, you had to be very accurate with the job, and fine at some points, because if you're laying down vinyl, you can't just like fling it around. Once it's set, it's there for a while if you do it right. And both things, I'm working with my hands, and I just like working with my hands with anything. So because I'm actively in it, I'm not just watching a screen. I'm doing something.
Yeah, makes sense. So But Mel was a martial artist before she met you, right?
Yeah, she did judo when she was a lot younger.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you guys got together, and did she only start practicing jiu-jitsu on you after she started at our gym, or
Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
Did she ever practice judo on you before?
No.
She didn't show you anything?
The first time, she used to go to a gym just to lift weights and do cardio, and then she was like, I want to punch things. I'm like, all right. So we went to a boxing gym, and it was just punching bags. It was just kind of like a cardio workout in a sense. And she's like, I actually want to hit people. And I was like, okay, if that's what you want to do, go ahead. And then that's where she found Cita's gym. So,
Nice.
And then that's when she also started doing jiu-jitsu because she wanted to do MMA, and jiu-jitsu is a big part of that. So that's when she would come home like, I want to do a new move to you. I'm like, and it would involve her foot in my face. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. I don't understand this.
But it was effective, right?
It was, yeah. I'm like, okay. And she's like, you have to tap, by the way, when you're uncomfortable. I was like, I'm already uncomfortable.
So, but now you love it.
Oh yeah, now I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of it's easy to fall in love with if you have an open mind and you're open to growing through not the easiest way. It's definitely not easy, but it's fun as hell, man.
It definitely is fun, and some people are like, why do you like doing that kind of stuff? Especially for the work that I do. It'll be from 7 to 6 sometimes, where I'll just be in the hot sun, in the dirt, all day. And like, are you gonna go to jiu-jitsu? I was like, of course I am. Like, why? You spend all day in the sun. It's like, well, it's kind of hard to explain when you don't do it, and first of all, I have the family there, where it's kind of like an accountability thing. It's like, hey, I'm going to keep you here because you want to grow too, and you want to forget that. But you the discipline, if you go in there, you get to learn, and like I said, that's something I like to do is learn. So if I can do that, why not?
Sure.
Yeah.
So you're active all day, then you go do an active thing afterwards. I took a seminar once, way back in the day. I hope I get this guy's name right. He was an ex-pro MMA fighter. I think his name was Jeff Jimmo. People can Google that. But he came to this Krav Maga school that I was teaching at, and he gave this seminar, and he said something that always stuck with me, and it made me feel really good about putting forth the effort like that. He, because he was a pro fighter, and he made his money fighting, and he made his money giving seminars, and that's just all he did. And he looked at all of us in the group, and he said, you guys are the real heroes. You guys are the people that I look up to, because you guys do full-time jobs. You guys raise kids. You guys go to school full-time, and you do this. You still train every single day. That I don't think I could do. It's like, all I do is train. I don't think I could do a job and train, but you guys do it. You guys are my heroes. So that always stuck with me. I don't remember any of the moves he taught me that day, but I remember what he said that day, and that made the seminar all worth it. Is remembering that, I get to do this. I might not be able to do just this, but I get to, and other people don't have the luxury of doing that. So it's hard some days. It's hard some days when you've had a long day.
Yeah, and I think jiu-jitsu has become so part of me and Mel's life where we form around that schedule. It's just like Mel was talking about jobs. He goes, if I can't get off at 5:30, I'm not gonna take that job because she wants to go to MMA and jiu-jitsu. And like I said, if I get off at 6, I'm gonna be super tired, but I'm gonna try my best to go to jiu-jitsu. And if I miss, because like you guys said that my only job is to make it to class. It doesn't matter if I do well in the class that day because I could be totally tired, but I'm there. I'm ready. I've made the effort to come to class, and some people aren't even willing to do that. It's just I'm like, why not?
There's a thing in sports psychology where it talks about these famous studies that were done a long time ago, and they've been kind of bastardized and put out in the media. So the general public knows about this concept of 10,000 hours. 10,000 hours of practice will make you an expert in pretty much anything.
Wow.
But it's a very dumbed down version of what's accurate. And so these studies did find that 10,000 hours was about the average for someone to gain mastery in something. Soundproofing's falling off.
Uh-oh.
I need to.
They saw like
The
a bug or
stereo's
something.
coming apart. Earthquake. No. Yeah. I can put some more tape on this. Something stronger. Okay. So yeah, 10,000 hours was a thing, and I think they were testing it on musicians. So
Okay.
like violinists, pianists, things like that, and then also some physical.
You tried.
Yeah. But what didn't get translated over to the general public is that it's not just 10,000 hours, but it's 10,000 hours of intentional practice. So you have to be practicing with full intention, full focus, full mindfulness, not intoxicated, like all these standards, right, in order to be fully present. And that was the standard for the 10,000 hours. 10,000 hours of intentional practice. And you'll hear that from some life coaches and stuff.
Yeah.
But there's this thing where in sports psychology, this little debate that 10,000 hours of intentional practice is all good and well, but just showing up is still beneficial.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It might not count towards like your hour and a half class of tired training might not count towards an hour and a half of intentional, but it might count towards half an hour towards that. And it's also a strong practice in like mental toughness and drive, because you don't want to go on those days. You don't want to go when you're tired.
You don't want to keep going.
Exactly. But when you force yourself to do it, that's another opportunity that you just said, I'm not going to quit. I'm not going to quit on myself in this moment. I'm still going to go. Even though I might not get much from it, I'm going. That just helped you.
Yeah.
So the next time you're in the tournament and you feel like I could give up here, you're not going to.
Exactly. And that makes me excited for my next tournament, my first tournament, I should say, but also just very nervous.
So this is going to be your first one?
It'll be my first
this
one.
weekend?
Yep.
I don't think I'm going to be able to be there, but
that's okay.
It's going to be awesome.
Yeah. It's a sub-only one, so it's not your usual 5-minute round. It'll be 10-minute rounds.
10-minute rounds?
Yeah.
Even for the white belts?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so that's why when you see, like, I could give up right now. Like, I'm tired, but I'm not going to. As long as I'm not submitted, I can keep going. That's the drive, hopefully, for that day.
And everybody gets tired in there too. Just like in life, everybody gets tired.
Yeah.
What I like to remind myself, something that keeps me going when I get tired, even in training too, I like these little mantras that I tell myself because they have so much power, you know, and I tell myself the other guy's always more tired than me.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, so no matter how tired, I may be so tired, like I'm going to die, and I'm just like literally feeling that way. I always tell myself, that guy's even more tired.
Yeah.
You know, and it always gives me just a little bit more. Or even when we're running sprints or whatever, I'm like, I'm tired as hell. But those guys are more tired.
Yeah. I forgot who it was that said it last night at the fight. When your coaches say they're tired, you know, they might not be tired, but it gives you kind of that push, like, oh, he's tired, I need to finish this kind of thing. It gives you that push to keep going.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely a mental thing, and I like that. I like that mantra. I remember having to use it Saturday.
Yeah, exactly. So that one, as well as you know, when you're training, I like to remind myself, and you don't feel like going to train. I like reminding myself, I'm doing more than my opponent is right now to train for the tournament.
Oh. Yeah.
Right, so there's a pool of people that you're going to compete against, just like in life. There's a pool of people that you're competing against for jobs and stuff. But yeah, I don't know where I was going with that. but yeah, if you tell yourself I'm doing more than they are to prepare, then not only is your confidence going to be up, but you can give it that extra gear in training and be like, fuck yeah, man, I'm going to push harder than these guys ever are going to in the tournament.
That's true. I like that perspective thing too, because, you know, I'm a big perspective guy. What somebody else is thinking, or why they did those actions, kind of thing. It's big, like, you know, you said, oh, that person's probably tired. You know, I could be out working, and man, I'm tired. But so are my coworkers. So let's get this job done, so you can get out here quicker and relax, kind of thing. It kind of gives you that drive, rather than I'm tired and you just kind of soak in that, you know, that mindset.
Yeah, even in class, everybody's tired.
Yeah.
You're not the only one.
Yeah.
So I mean, just look around and be like, okay, I'm not the only one suffering.
Yeah.
We're all in this together.
And, you know, like you said, there's other people who go to work, have a hard day's work, and they go to class, and they're just as tight as I am, or even more.
Yep.
But they're there, so it kind of inspires me to keep going too.
Yeah, nice. And it's your playground for your senses.
It is. It definitely is, for sure.
I like that. So the tournament coming up. What are you excited about? What are you nervous about?
I'm excited just to do the tournament in itself because, like I said, I like to learn things, but it doesn't necessarily mean I like to compete in those things that I've learned. So this will be kind of the test, like, hey, do I do it because I like the learning and like just what I'm doing, or do I want to take it further and compete? So.
So you're kind of sorting through like what your motives are.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, am I going in to have fun? Am I going in to learn?
Mm-hmm.
Am I going in to like go for gold? Am I going in? Yeah.
It could be all of those things.
Sure.
It just some people have said you're either you're gonna hate it or you're gonna love it, but the thing is that even if you hate it, you learn so much from the experience because there's you don't see everyone in that tournament every day. I'll see you in class multiple times a week, and I'll roll with you multiple times a week. But with these guys, I may roll with them once in a lifetime, and they might have taught me something really important, and I miss out on an opportunity if I didn't do the tournament kind of thing, So it just gives you that more experience.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm excited for that. I am nervous though. I am very nervous.
So what's nervous about?
Just competing. I'm not a sore loser in any sense, really, but I don't know. It's just being on the mat.
So what is it? What is it about competing? Is it the test of yourself? It's nerve wracking.
I guess that would be it.
Like if you don't live up to your own expectations of yourself.
Yeah, I can say I'm good, but doesn't necessarily mean I am good.
Right.
It could be a really humbling experience, or it could be a surprising experience. Like, whoa, I knew more than I did.
So the humbling piece is kind of scary.
I wouldn't say it's scary. It's just I wish I knew like more. What can I do? And that's why also kind of like when I'm going there, that'll teach me what I can do.
It will, show you what you're capable of, and like where you stack up.
Yeah, and it's also the weight, the divisions, I guess, are very spread out. It's 206 to 236, because usually I guess some of these are a lot smaller tournaments. So I could be some like right in the middle too. So I can go someone who's weighs less than me or more than me, and
so you're like 220 something.
I'm 215.
215.
Yeah.
So you're on the lower end of that weight class.
Yeah.
Just by
a little. Yeah.
So you're a little bit nervous about the size differences. That's what's beautiful about jiu-jitsu, though. Is it's built for the small guy.
Yeah.
So that's cool. But no, I totally get that. I had to wrestle against some pretty big guys too.
Yeah.
And Z, Z. That tell yourself that, right?
Yeah.
Z is bigger than all these guys that you're gonna go against.
Yeah.
No guy in this thing is gonna be as big or as tough as Z. And if you have fun going with him, you're gonna have fun.
Yeah. And then that's the thing is just remind myself that I'm there for fun. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a good experience. So.
Yeah, you're going into it with the right attitude, and with that bit, concentrating on the fun part and the learning, it's gonna certainly lessen the blow. It's not going to take it away.
Yeah.
I can't promise you that.
Yeah.
It still sucks to lose, but it lessens the blow when you realize the greater importance, the deeper understanding, the learning, right? And I tell you what, man, like almost everybody that I've ever competed against has become my friend after a match. Right?
Oh, yeah.
So definitely every pro match that I've had have become friends, acquaintances, Facebook friends, whatever, but also the people in the tournaments too. You see them a couple times a year, and then you go train at their school with them, and it starts as a competition between schools, but then eventually it turns into like, welcome to this larger brotherhood of jiu-jitsu.
We're all like learning together in a sense. And I think that's really cool as well. It's like we're all I'll be competing against white belts, and we're both just still learning. We're still in our baby steps into the journey that we're gonna have in jiu-jitsu. So it's just, if I do lose, it's like, wow, that person is like really trying to learn jiu-jitsu, and that's awesome. I like to see the fire in people's eyes when it comes to like new things to them. So it's, hey, more to if I lose and it gives you more motivated, good for you, kind of thing. So
do you put any like added pressure on yourself for competing? You said you're not one to usually compete in things that you do. Do you put extra pressure to win on yourself?
I mean, everyone likes winning, of course.
Sure.
But I wouldn't try to say put unnecessary pressure, because that would just make me more nervous.
Yeah,
and,
totally.
and stiff. You get in there like, okay, I need to get in there and win. It's like, I want to get in there and have fun and learn at the same time too. And if you have so much pressure on yourself, you kind of forget that reason why you're there in the first place.
Yeah.
And so, gonna have pressure on myself, and Mel can see it. Like, oh, he's nervous, and like, you're gonna go there and kick their butts. And I'm like, I appreciate the support, and everyone says that too. It's just awesome to have that. It's like, okay, I can breathe, take some of that pressure off me and go in there and have fun.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing in open mat. And I could be nervous going against somebody else, but you just get comfortable. And some people have described tournaments as, just open mat, but with scoring.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's open mat between gyms.
Yeah, that's what it is.
And then you might walk away with some cool hardware.
Yeah, and I chose a sub only because I like the more technical stuff with it. I don't want to. If I feel like 5 minutes, you have to force things sometimes your own way, rather than wait for an opportunity. Like, oh, I can do this because he reached over my lapel or something.
You
like
can take your time.
Exactly, and I just don't want to really always reach for points. That's something I don't enjoy about that part of regular tournaments. Is that you always have to get your points, then go for submission. I was like, I just want to just do the technical stuff and get to that submission, rather than I won by points. And some people are all for that. That's okay. And just for my taste, is I like to get the submission.
Yeah, and there's something to be said about that too. Those longer fights way back in the day, there was this fight between I don't even remember which Gracie it was, and some Japanese dude that lasted 90 minutes.
It was the whole pay-per-view fight or something like that.
I don't even know if it was.
Okay.
It was probably before pay-per-view.
Oh, okay.
I think. This 90-minute fight or it was unlimited time.
Okay, yeah, back
go to town,
yeah.
right? And it lasted 90 minutes and just nonstop. But there's some advantage to taking your time for sure.
Yeah.
I think you see that too, but I don't know. The different point systems are interesting. Yeah, even in my jiu-jitsu in the gym and open mat, there's instances where I will sacrifice my back. I'll give my back up to someone because, again, I'm baiting someone.
Exactly.
Because I want you to take my back because I already have the escape plan so that when you make your move, I'm out the back door and on your back or on your leg or something, right? So, in a tournament, I can't do that. I can't sacrifice position in order to set something up. If that thing fails, then I just gave up points.
Yeah.
Right? Whereas in submission only, I can play my game more pure to what my style is.
Exactly.
Take my time. If I want to finish fast, finish fast. And
Yeah.
sometimes, if I have a big bracket, I want to finish the first few people fast so that I
have
can
more
conserve
energy,
energy,
and they're more tired because they were fighting just as hard.
Exactly. And but it is what it is. Yeah, I like your philosophy on it.
I'm just a very patient person when it comes to if I have someone on my guard, I'll see what they're gonna do for a little bit, and then once they give me an arm, I'll say, okay, I'll try this. I'm not saying I know all the moves, obviously, because I'm just a white belt, but that's just the way I like to roll and not be constrained just to time.
Are you like that in your everyday life? You take your time with everyday decisions and things like that, or
I'm definitely go with the flow in my mind. But if I do have to make a decision, I try to think of all the different ways to approach that, and not try to make an irrational or sped up decision or a rush decision, because that can just lead to more problems.
Sure. Yeah.
So
that's what you learn in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, exactly.
You make a quick snap decision and you find yourself in a worse place.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's oh, I need to do this. No, I need to do this instead, even if it's a long way. Z always. You need to do. I know they're small steps and they're tedious, but they're important in the end. And so, just how I make a decision is okay, just take a half day to think about it. But there's also some decisions you need to do it now.
Right. So when you're making decisions, even small decisions, there should be a process, right?
Yeah, exactly.
A step by step. It may be conscious, may be unconscious, but there should be a process. There should be a pause for you to be able to run through the simulations, run through the scenarios, and be like, what is the best course of action? How is this going to affect my spouse or the rest of my life or whatever, before making those decisions.
Yeah. And everyone has a choice. It just depends on what choice, And people think they only have one. And then they do that one choice, and they're like, uh-oh, that was the wrong one.
Nice. So who else is competing this weekend with you?
I think for now, it's just Melanie. Okay. Melanie and I. So we're both looking forward to it.
Nice, going to battle together.
Yeah, Melanie's been a little injured her shoulder, you know that, and so she's been resting so she can compete this weekend.
That's awesome.
Yeah, she's been looking really just forward to it because she'll be in class and I can't roll because I don't want to hurt myself even more. So
yeah. So then after the tournament, is she back to regular rolling with us if everything goes well?
If everything goes well and her shoulder feels fine, she should be back.
Okay. Yeah.
Hopefully she comes back because she'll be at the gym and then her attitude just becomes bummed out because she's like, man, I couldn't throw a punch, and it hurts to roll. I'm like, I understand, but it's better to rest right now than be out for a longer time. So just patience. Yeah. That's the hardest part because you just really want to do something, but step back, make the decision, what's best for the long run, kind of thing.
Yeah. So how long have you been training with us?
4 months.
4 months,
I think.
And that's as long as I've known you. And right off the bat, I think within the first couple of weeks, well, I'm a therapist by trade, so I kind of analyze everybody when I meet them. But right away, and I think everybody picked up on this too. You're a very funny guy. You're very humorous.
Yeah.
You use humor in a very witty, clever way. I
Well,
want to
thank you.
ask
I like
you
the
about
witty.
that. Yeah. No, because that's a part of myself that I've always wanted to develop or just be better with, because I like to bring joy in that way. It makes me feel good.
Yeah.
And so I was hoping you could provide some insight to me into how you develop that.
Oh, man.
How do you use humor not just to brighten people's day, but do you use humor in other ways productively in your life?
I actually get when I work with people, they say that when I work with them, work is way easier, and that's because I'm trying to make work as enjoyable as I can. It's I know we're in the dirt all day, but that doesn't mean we should have a good time. We shouldn't have a good time, and I know we're training and we're all tired. That doesn't mean we shouldn't have a good time. And I just when it comes to being productive, I see. When I see productive as talking to people, it's definitely a good icebreaker. Just know that you're someone they can open up to. Because some people are like, I don't know if I can, talk to them about something. And it's well, just make a little joke. Be personable, and just not intimidating. Because I have some people at first you were intimidating, but then you made it, crack at a joke, and I just knew that you were just that kind of person where I can just talk to you.
Yeah, I talked to my cousin Coleman about that too and had him on the podcast, and he's very much like the type of guy who will go up to anybody, stranger, and just strike up a conversation, introduce himself, learn their name, learn about them, and then I watch him, and it always leaves people smiling. It always leaves people feeling like, oh, that dude was awesome. I'm having a great day. I'm an awesome person, even if they were having a bad day, and you kind of have that same ability when you come to class, and I see other people who are tired or down or whatever, and you'll just start cracking jokes, and then it'll brighten the mood. But using it as an icebreaker, I think is a great idea. I wish I was better at them. I think my jokes are more like one-liner Chuck Norris jokes, which are great icebreakers too when you're corny.
I went to your bathroom and there was a book about Chuck Norris in the bathroom. I was like, that's awesome.
Hell yeah, I gotta study, man. I gotta study when I'm taking
your notes.
Yeah, I just sitting there and taking notes and making mental snapshots.
Yeah, I was cracking up with that. I was like, that's a good book to have in the bathroom.
Yeah.
It's when I forgot what I was gonna say. It's just my personality. Before I was a Christian, my kind of my mantra was, I guess I wouldn't say to myself, but my idea of what I would like to do as my person is, any person you meet, you don't know how their day is going. It could be a terrible day, it could be a fantastic day. But why, as me as a person, why should I make it worse? you know what, I can just say hi and literally make someone's day by just saying that, you know, because, you know, when you have an angry customer, like I used to work at a Sonic drive-in, and I was a manager there, and say there's a person crying in their car, like give them a free meal, you know, just why not? They're already having a hard day, you know, just let them have a better day, or try to have a better day. And that's how I went. If I could hold the door open for somebody, I do it. Just whatever small thing. I wasn't like counting deeds. It's just if you could do it, why not? So that was my everyday kind of thing.
Right. It's no burden to you to do those things.
Yeah. It's just simply opening the door. Just taking time out of your day for somebody else. And people just like, I want all my time for myself. And I don't know. I like helping people, and I like making them smile. So
how did you develop the humor muscle? Were you always like class clown and everything?
Actually, I was a very quiet kid.
Okay, so tell me about the switch.
Oh, the thing is, like, when I think of when I became not quiet, it was probably high school. I guess I blossomed, or you know, I became more comfortable around people. And in my high school years, I actually had a devastating event where I had to grow up pretty fast, and I was like, man, this is adulting at this point, and you know, you don't want anyone else to feel like terrible. If you're depressed, you know that you don't want anyone else to feel that way, because it sucks. You know, feeling depressed sucks. So, like I said, if I can make someone's day, whether it's by saying hi or making a quick joke or talking to them about something they like to talk about, then I would just do it. It's easy as that. And I guess I just grew the sarcasm bone, and it came from there, because I love sarcasm. And I have a good friend that I grew up with, and I think I met him in kindergarten, and we're still friends today. And I see him at church. I see him if I go to Aurora, and he's living down there at that time. I'll go visit him or talk to him. It's kind of I know that he'll be friends for a lifetime kind of thing. We kind of just grew our humor together, and it's brought to other people. So
nice. Yeah, I have a couple of best friends who were way funnier than I was, and that's
he's definitely funnier than I am.
That's part of the reason why I hang out with some of my best friends, Jeff and Mike. But I can't help but smile when I'm around them.
Yeah,
you know. Yeah. And so that's something that I've always envied in people like yourself and them, who can sort of tickle this humor muscle and bring it out whenever. You know, I think I'm getting better at a little bit of the spontaneous humor. Like when I have a funny thought, I'm getting better at like actually saying it instead of keeping it to myself. Yeah. But I'm still testing the waters too, because you know, sometimes you'll say something, you'll be like, it was funny to me, but it's not funny to everyone else.
You gotta be careful, because you'll trigger something in someone, and
totally. In this PC culture, like you say something and it's just like everyone's looking at you like, what the hell did you just say?
Like, why did he say that?
That's part of why I love our gym too, because we are not PC in there. And we get to express whatever we want.
And we understand that, like, he's just kidding. He's not being actually serious about this kind of stuff. And that's why I also love it, because I can say pretty much anything, and everyone's gonna be like, you know, you're stupid, or you know, they're just laughing with it. So,
like, I'm a nice guy. I'm not racist or sexist at all. But in the gym, I can totally be racist too.
And the thing is, you know, I usually feel the first racist joke to myself.
Right.
And like, you know, and they're like, everyone's like, that's okay. You're not gonna hurt my feelings, right? You know, because I feel like some people confuse stereotypes with racism, and it's just like, no, it's a stereotype. It's a joke.
Some stereotypes are accurate too.
Yeah.
Some stereotypes are actually based on fact.
Exactly, and you know, I'll do a stereotype of myself, and I'm like, is that okay? It's like, it's true for me. It's a stereotype that's true for me, you know, and it's a stereotype for a reason, because it's true somewhere. And I will tell you, in this instance, for this stereotype, it is true for me. Right. And I'm very comfortable with all that kind of stuff. So it takes a lot. Like I said, I'm a very patient person, so it takes a lot to piss me off. But if you do, then you're like, ooh, he did something really wrong.
I'm the same way. Yeah, I didn't used to be that way. I was very quick to anger before, when I was still drinking. And just kind of drinking alcohol just kind of set my personality, my life, everything just kind of on tilt just a little bit. It was just off in every way. But as soon as I corrected that one thing, removed that one thing from the equation, then the equation balanced. It's like, you know, basic algebra, and you have an extra +1 on one side. You just take that off, and now all of a sudden it equals. So Yeah.
I just become way more friendly.
Wouldn't drink.
You want to drink, yeah.
Yeah, I do up to a point, and then I get angry and violent and jealous and end up in jail because I do stupid things.
Yeah,
like things on fire.
Equation. Yeah.
Yeah.
You should, don't like things on fire.
I'm getting in fights. No, that's not good stuff, man. I like to tell people I'm allergic to alcohol, that I break out in handcuffs.
Well,
that's my sobriety joke.
At least you know your equation. Some people will look at the equation and just like, I don't.
It's just baffled.
Yeah.
And that's why people come to me too to sort that stuff out too. I'm an addictions counselor as well, so people come with all sorts of things, and they're like, I don't know what's going on with me.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about it. Let's figure it out. Let's sort through all these thoughts that are through your head. Let's put them all out on the table, and I'll help you put the puzzle together.
Yeah, and that's why, like I said, I'm a big perspective person, because as I speak to you and tell you about their day, about their own equation, you have that outside perspective. Like, hey, from my point of view, and from my past experiences, this is what I think you need to take out of the equation to balance it. And some people are just stubborn, and they don't want to take anybody else's perspective or even think about it, because they always think, like, say you stole something. Some people are like, oh, he's a bad person, that's why he stole. It's like, what if he stole some food because he has a starving family at home? People never think about that. They just think that automatically that person's bad.
They make a judgment.
Yeah, snap judgment, rather than like, if me and Mel were poor, and I stole something, I'd be like, this is for my wife, and people would probably do the same for their wife if that came down to it. But people never think about their situation. They always think it's about the person.
I totally make those snap judgments sometimes too, and I
everybody does.
Yeah, and I actively work on it. So if you're out there and you're hearing this and you're like, shit, I'm a shitty person because I make the snap judgments on people. No, we all do.
We all do it.
The point is not to become this perfect saint, but the point is to continue to work to improve that, so that when you make a snap judgment, you can catch yourself in the middle of it and be like, oh wait, I'm doing that thing again.
Yeah, exactly.
I need to remember what Chris said on that podcast with Shane. That's such an awesome podcast. I need to go tell all my friends about it. And donate to it.
Yeah, take a step back and you just don't know that person. Yeah. And that's why I said, like, my thing was, consider someone else's day. If they're having a crap day, or either or, make their day better in some sort of way, because you don't know the person's situation.
I just love that you can do it through humor.
I'm glad I can too. Like, I'm glad, because when I said about the devastating event in my high school years, was that my mother actually had swine flu and pneumonia at the same time.
Oh my God!
And it caused her to have 3 strokes, and she was affected in many ways, physically, speech.
You were a teenager.
Yeah, I was a teenager. So, and my dad still had to go to work, so I would go to school, go back home to pretty much take care of my mom with my brother and sister, and then after that, make sure the house, like, do our chores and do regular kid things, but then take care of another human being as a teenager, especially your own mother. It's really hard, and that just made me grow up really fast, especially my younger sister, who was, I forgot how old she was at the time, was very young. And we could just see that in all of us, how we all had to mature pretty fast. And I was like, man, if this is adulting, and you're taking care of your kids in the future, then it's a hard time. It's always gonna be hard. And that's why I just had that idea, is like, I just make everyone's day better. And it could be really hard for me. I was pressed because I was always trying to, I was just dealing with something that normal kids don't go through. And I guess I had that idea, like, I don't want anyone else to feel like alone or sad, so I just try to do it through laughter. And like I said, it's harder these days because everyone can be a little sensitive about some subjects, because what you said, like, you throw something out there, and you're like, wait, I probably shouldn't have said that. And you're like, sorry, and I didn't mean it that way. But like you said at the gym, I can say it, or you can say it and go, that's exactly how I meant it. But everyone finds it funny, so it's very comforting to have that in class as well.
Thank you for sharing that story.
Yeah, it's something that is, that now I can't really see my mother now, because they moved to Indiana quite a few years back, and her memory is so bad that she actually has to be in a home. And when, like, my brother and sister will go visit her, they're like, where's Chris? And they'll call me, and I'll tell them hey mom, I'm in Colorado. I have been the entire time. And then, you know, we'll say I love yous and hang up, and then 5 minutes later I'll ask my brother and sister, where's Chris? And then it's really hard because it's just, like she probably doesn't even remember Melanie because we got married before, after the fact, that, you know, kind of stuff. So, you know, when we have kids eventually, you know, it's kind of hard, but she won't remember her grandkids.
But your kids will remember your
Exactly.
grandma.
Yeah.
And that's just as important too. That's how she stays alive after she's gone. So the memories.
And you know, the memories that I tell Melanie. You know, like this is how my mom was before. Where, you know, we both watched Joe Coy, and you know, that for me was when I first heard of him. It was hilarious because his mom was my mom. Literally the same thing. Everything she said, same thing. So that was one, you know, part where I'm like, okay, you know, I can tell stories about my mom too, where it can make other people laugh, just like him. So, yeah.
I think that's a good segue into this quick commercial break. All right, so we're gonna take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back.
That point is still good.
Back for section 2 of the podcast. All right, folks, we're back. Conversation with Maya and Chris. All right, so we left off talking about your mom a little bit, and I wanted to share a similar story because you're right. Not everybody goes through what you went through, and I didn't go through what you went through, but I went through something that it reminded me of when you were sharing your story. And so I grew up with a younger brother. We're 18 months apart, and growing up, my mom was in and out of bouts of alcoholism, and she's raising us as a single mom. So stepfather's in and out. She'd been married 3 times over the years and things like that, boyfriends, stuff like that. And I can remember living in various places in New Mexico, mostly before we moved to Colorado, where, you know, I was less than 8 years old. So we moved to Colorado when I was 8. Instances where she'd be drunk or passed out or something, unable to give us dinner or whatever, and I'd have to take on that responsibility of being the father figure to my younger brother, who's literally only a year and a half younger. So I too feel like I had to mature much faster than my peers. I had to kind of let go of a lot of what childhood should have been in order to make sure that my brother and I were okay. Yeah. Like, I felt like I could take care of myself, but I wanted to make sure that my brother was okay, right? Because he's all I had, and I was all he had. So, you know, I'd cook dinners, or I'd do my best, you know. I would try and be that parent when my mom couldn't. So I empathize with you on that, having to grow up fast. So, with this happening to your mom, and for the listeners, and for those who don't know you, you have... So you're half Filipino, right? And half
Puerto Rican.
Okay, I would have gotten that wrong. Glad I asked. So you come from a multicultural upbringing, and I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about that because, first of all, I don't have that personal experience, so I'd love to gain your perspective on that. Plus, I'm going into social work, and race is a huge part of that. Culture. Plus, as a study of the mind and psychology and all this stuff, I know how impactful that is. So yeah, I'm wondering what was it like growing up in a multicultural family like that? You said your mom was, and for those people who haven't seen the Joe Coy special, maybe you could describe your mom a little bit about like the stereotypes fit in this case.
So I think in our family, most of the Filipino culture was there. Because my mom spoke Tagalog, which is the main language of the Philippines. Tagalog, yeah. And there's other dialects that she spoke as well.
Do you speak any of them?
I don't, because she never really taught me, but she also flip-flopped back and forth between dialects. That was hard to keep up. So I never really learned just one, you know. But yeah, so, you know, my mom spoke Tagalog. She had her accent where F's are P's and V's are B's, and
what does that sound like?
Like fruit, would be fruits. You know, you're like what? You know,
do you like some fruits?
yeah, or breakfast, you know.
Breakfast.
Yeah, yeah. It's just, you know, it just.
I love that.
Yeah. You know, Joe Coy has the joke where, you know, Vicks Vapor Rub. It's Bix. It is Bix. You know, and it's just kind of that kind of stuff where you laugh because it's so true, and it's definitely a stereotype. But when it comes to the culture, for I think a lot of Asian culture in general, like family is everything. Right? And when I think the hardest time for me for culture was just when I left for college, because, you know, in the Philippines, when you say this is your grandma, that's not your grandma. Probably it's an old friend. Cause
so it's like the community raises the kids.
Yeah.
In
So
the Philippines.
so like, you know, my Linda, another person at our gym, she's part Filipino, and when she told me that, I was like, oh, what up, cousin? Because literally, if you meet someone, like, they're your cousin at that point.
It's part of a bigger family.
Yeah. And when I went there in middle school, where I actually can remember the Philippines, like, this is your aunt, this is your uncle, you know, this is your cousin, and I was like, are any of these people related to me? I'm like, nope. None of them whatsoever related to you, but that's just how it is because everyone's family, and that impacted me just, you know, a lot because I treated my friends as family.
So in the Philippines, if you're Filipino, and that's the correct.
Yeah, Filipino. Yeah.
I didn't know. I can never tell when something becomes not right to say, right? Like when did Oriental become not okay?
I didn't know because I used to work at an Oriental store when I was younger, and I was like, you can't say that anymore.
Right, or Oriental food, or like, is it okay to even call someone Asian these days? Like, I don't know. Like, is that too general? Should we get specific and call them Taiwanese? And
well, some people, you know, get offended for even trying. Like, are you Japanese? Like, no, I'm this, you know.
Right.
Are you?
Well, hey, at least I tried. At least I didn't lump you together.
I didn't, you know, I don't want to just say Asian.
Right.
You
So
know?
in the Philippines, if you're Filipino, you're part of this big tribe, this big family.
Yeah.
Do you guys also view non-Filipino natives as part of that family, or is it like, no, we're this tribe, we know each other's struggle, and you guys are foreigners, or is it like everybody's my brother, everybody's my cousin?
I feel like when it comes to, like, if, like, say you were to come with me to the Philippines, I wouldn't necessarily think they would think you as a, you know, cousin or whatever, but for how I grew up, you know, like in our house, everyone, like, all my friends were local. And when, with the mindset, and that was mostly my dad always tried to make a comfortable, safe home for people to come to and relax. And, you know, say you have a problem with being at home, you can come to our house and relax. School's giving you a really hard time, you need to be with, you know, positive people, come to our house. So our door was always open. And I think with that Filipino culture of, you know, just family, like being close with people, even if they're not really related to you, really stuck to me. So, with, like, if you know, became my friend, you were pretty much family, you know. And, you know, some people are like, that's too trusting. It's just how I was raised. Is that, oh, you're Filipino, you're my cousin now. And it's a funny thing to say, but you're family, and if you have a potluck or a dinner, you're invited over, kind of thing. So I feel like that's where a lot of my culture like mixed together.
So what you said in your household, it was mostly Filipino influence. What are some of the other, like, cultures, customs, traditions, artwork that you had around your house that can flavor your life in a Filipino way?
Well, first thing, we always had elephants in our house.
Like
statues.
Okay, cool.
And I think if you pointed them to the door, it was always good luck. Filipinos are very superstitious.
So do they worship elephants as well as, like?
No, they don't. I don't think they worship elephants.
Because in Thailand they literally worship.
Yeah,
it's cool.
Filipinos are actually Catholic because of the Spaniards when they conquered them. So there's definitely a lot of religion over there, but they're just superstitious in funny ways. You're like, that's a dumb superstition, but okay. Because I remember I had a pillow on my head. I was just carrying some pillows downstairs on my head. My mom was like, take that off your head, it's bad luck. And I was like, how is this bad luck? If I fell, the pillow would save me. So I didn't understand a lot of the superstition. But one culture that I miss a lot is the food. Like, part of the culture is food, because I think it's still there, but there's a Filipino restaurant, Aurora, that I think is the only place where I can get Filipino food reliably, if it's still there. It's been years since I've actually been able to go down there. But since my mom got sick, I don't have anyone to really cook me Filipino food that she could. So that's one hard thing that I kind of have to like one thing that I can't share with Melanie because there's no.
Right, and the tradition wasn't necessarily passed down to you either.
Yeah, because I didn't really, I wasn't at the age where I could cook. I mean, I could cook, but I was just working at school. Right, my mom's just like, pay attention in school, do hard in school. So it was homework when I got home. But culture-wise, I don't know. There's a lot of stuff I feel like from the Philippines that just influenced me, but especially with that family-oriented mindset. When I went to college, my grandma on my mom's side actually got really mad at me for going into a college in a different city, even if the city was an hour and a half away, because I'm from Aurora. They're like, how dare you, leave the house when your mom is in that situation.
You were like deserving.
Exactly, because like I said, we're very family oriented, and if someone's sick, you take care of them. But I know that my mom would want the best for me, and to go to college, we had a good college. So, and my dad even told her, like, hey, he's his own person, he's allowed to make his own decisions, and this one that he wants. But there was a time where my grandma did not like talking to me because I was not at home. So, and that's where, I feel like she still could be upset with me about that. But like I said, there's nothing I can do now because they're in Indiana, and then I'm not uprooting my entire life to move to Indiana, where I have other responsibilities to take care of, where I have my own wife, where it's my duty to take care of her as a husband, and there's just so much that goes along with it.
Right.
But that was one hard thing I had to get over, is when I went to college, I did feel guilty about that. So, I guess negative and positive.
So her feelings might not have changed. Have your feelings changed about it? Like, do you still feel guilty about making that decision, or now that you're done with that part of your life, do you feel like I made the right decision?
I feel like I did make the right decision, because I know that if my mom was well, she would tell me to go.
She would have wanted you to go.
She was like, which I know that she would definitely like, hey, go out there, live your life. But that's what she did. She left the Philippines to marry my dad, and because she's from the Philippines. My dad was stationed in the Philippines. And
so your dad's from Puerto Rico, right?
No, he's actually from the States. He's from Indiana.
Indiana.
Yeah.
Okay, so he was stationed there. They met, got married. She moved over here.
And so like, she moved away from her family, and I can see that some people wouldn't like that. But at the same time, you can help your family by making money here, or you can always, like, she always called her family in the Philippines. She always had a close relationship and all that kind of stuff. They always they like to gossip. Filipinos love to gossip. My mom loved to gossip, so that's what she did with her family in the Philippines. So she would tell them about her day, and then what's going on over there, kind of thing.
So where does the Puerto Rican come in then?
Like I said, there wasn't a lot of Puerto Rican influences. We didn't even speak Spanish.
But you said you're half Puerto Rican.
I'm half Puerto. My dad's Puerto Rican.
Oh, he is.
Yeah, he's Puerto Rican, but he's. Oh, I thought you meant like physically from Puerto Rico.
So his parents were Puerto Rican.
Yes,
from Puerto Rico.
I believe so. Yes, I believe.
He was born in the States.
Yes, he was born in Indiana, Gary, Indiana.
Gary, Indiana.
Yep. So
he was American. Well, Puerto Rico's. I feel so weird saying like Puerto Rico's American, even like Hawaii. Like I have a tough time saying that, because to me, like, I don't feel right. Like, we totally just claimed you as our own
territory. Yeah, you're our land.
You're ours now. Sorry. Like, no, that's not right.
It's weird. Yeah.
Like, that's my ancestors that did that, not me. Like, I don't believe in that. Like, you go do your thing. You be an islander. You do you. If you want to be a part of us, you're more than welcome.
Yeah. But we're not going to claim you as our own.
Right. That's stupid. Oh, yes. So that's the Puerto Rican influence, but not much in the household.
Not much in the household. I mean, there was some food, but like I said, we mostly ate Filipino food. And my dad always made the joke, because Filipino is fish and rice, and then Puerto Rico it's rice and beans. So it's just one ingredient change.
Yeah, rice, beans, and fish.
Yeah. So I mean, mostly it was rice and fish. So I never complained about it. So
that's awesome, dude. So, so you mentioned Catholicism as being the basis for Filipino.
Yeah.
But I mean, they had their own religion, spirituality before that. Do you know anything about that?
I have no idea what it was before that.
So you've never gone into Filipino history?
No,
stuff like that?
no, not really. I just know that when I first went to the Philippines, like I said, in middle school, or actually remember stuff. Because when I was a baby, I don't remember anything. They just have big buildings for churches, like gigantic buildings, and that's the only thing. It's like for religion that I know of over there is mainly Catholic.
So, but then you said you're Christian.
Yeah.
Right. So you converted intentionally at some point.
Yeah.
And tell me about that, because I grew up probably with mostly Christian influence. My mom never pushed me towards anything. She was kind of rebellious in her age and wanted to make. She's a kind of a free spirit. Wanted my brother and I to find our own path. So that was nice. But I remember being forced to go to Sunday school at a Christian church when I was young. It was more like my mom's version of daycare for us.
Yeah.
And then also when I went to military school on the East Coast, we'd have to sit in a Catholic church twice a week, once on Sunday, once on Tuesday for Vespers. And I had to sit through a Catholic service there. But it was always like forced on me. I didn't get a choice. And that was my only exposure. It kind of turned me away from Western religions and more towards atheism. And then eventually I crashed and burned with that. And then I was like, I got to find something. I had a spiritual experience and found Buddhism. But I'm really interested in your perspective and how you came to Christianity and what is it?
What drew me to it?
Yeah, exactly.
So when I was younger, I did go to church, but hardly ever. It was like mainly for Easter and Christmas, because the main like days for Catholic, I guess. But I never really like learned. I just knew that we had to go, and so when I got older, I kind of just separated from it because it wasn't something important to me. And when my mom got sick, that's when like if there is a God, then why? Like, why is all this?
That question comes up so often when people lose people.
And but the thing is it taught me, but I didn't know the lesson until later. But I went to school, went to college. It's just having that mindset of you don't know how people's days are going. Why make it harder? Make it better. Until I met my best friend. He actually took me to a retreat. For a church retreat, we went to snow tubing. I got to meet some people and whatnot. Yeah, yes, it is fun, and that's why I went. There was, and I was like I said, meeting new people and just talking to them, making their day. But when they first started talking, because obviously when you go through all that kind of stuff, they're gonna talk. If you're at a retreat, they're gonna talk about religion, and I learned that Jesus said love each other, love your neighbors. And I was like, that's kind of my mindset. It's just loving your neighbors. And I learned that the church is just people, like you said, you like make those snap decisions on people. It's just a church full of them who are just looking to make their lives better and be surrounded by people who also care about them. And that drew me towards it because at that point in my life, I was just, I felt a lot alone, which makes sense to go towards people. And I continued to hang out with those people. And then one day I was like, I kind of want to make this like my life where not only am I going to try to make people's days, but I just want to love on people. And if that's what the like Christian's goal is, I want to be a part of that.
Nice.
And then that's where I took more interest in the Bible, learning and talking to people, talking to our preacher, and just being actually invested in that life. Right. And just because spirituality, there's a big thing about being spiritual, because you can be because you can not know someone and love them, because because you don't know their full story doesn't mean you can't love on them.
Even if you do know their full story and they're terrible people, you can still love them.
And that makes it harder. Knowing them makes it harder. And there are people that I don't like, but doesn't mean I want worse for them. I don't want. Yeah, if I do, that's just wrong.
Right. I'm about to say something totally controversial.
Oh, that's fine.
No, so this idea that we don't have to like them to love them is a thing, and I think we all experience that sometimes with family.
Yeah.
But I've been asked too when people have approached me and my Buddhist beliefs and kind of want to question or challenge them for me, like on a philosophical level.
Yeah.
They may ask like, well, could you love Charles Manson? Do you love who's other killer? Jack the Ripper?
Yeah.
Do you love O.J. Simpson?
Yeah.
Right? And
so you think he did it?
yeah. And so I have to say yes. And then right away they're like, oh, how could you? Right?
Yeah.
That initial snap judgment, and then I have to explain, and I'm like, well, look, like, I don't like them. I don't agree with the things they did. But the fact that they're another human soul, they're another human being, they were born completely innocent babies.
Yeah.
And they are part of the same cosmic machine that I am.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, if I hate them, I'm hating a part of myself.
Yeah.
So it benefits me to still love them and love their soul, but I don't have to hang around with them. I don't have to talk to them. I can, and I still love them.
And that's what a lot of people mistake. Well, some people do this, but they, there's I should say, like 3 weeks later, after I actually chose to be baptized, I met Melanie, and she was actually someone who was trained to be a missionary, and their mission field was Fort Collins. And I was like, how old are these people? And they were younger than me. I was like, they're trying to be a missionary in a college town who's very, very set on, like religion is crap, pretty much. Because there's people on campus who hold, like, you're all sinners, you're going to hell.
Right, Callie tells me about them all the time.
Yeah, and there are people that's like, first of all, that's not, we don't have the right to judge that. That's God's judgment, right? So that didn't make any sense for me. But that's why, like, loving people, like, people forget that our job is just to love people, not to shove the Bible down their throat, but to show through our actions who we are. And people are just like, oh, I'm gonna make a sign, and I'm gonna scare them into religion. I'm like, no, that's just to drive people away. You gotta show them what Jesus calls out to be, because when Jesus came, he actually hung out with the sinners. He just hung out with the quote-unquote bad people, and people were like, why are you hanging out with them?
Yeah, was he partying with them?
Probably.
No,
probably.
So I have a book also, I think it's called Mushroom and the Sacred Cross, and it talks about how Christianity and Jesus and his whole band of people might have actually started out as a mushroom cult. Like,
oh, wow.
Not like cult in a bad word,
Yeah.
but like they were experimenting with psilocybin mushrooms on each other and whatever, trying to find the answers in spirituality, and found that love and connection and all these things were the way to be, and that Christianity and the Christian church, and then they have just pushed and stuffed that information down. Actually, only up until like a couple of years ago, you couldn't even buy it because the Christian, or I think it was the Christian church, or the Vatican or something, bought the rights to the book so that it couldn't be published and couldn't be released. And now it can be. It's public knowledge now. But it's just an interesting theory. I don't know if that's been proven, but but no, it's interesting because you found your way into Christianity not by reading the Bible, not by even going to church, but you heard a message, right? You heard an ideal, a value statement, and I forgot exactly what you said, that you heard Jesus say, like, it related to treating...
Oh, love your neighbors.
Love your neighbors. Yeah, so you heard that, and you're like, boom, like, they felt this connection, like, holy shit, that's what I am all about. And that's the same that I found for Buddhism, too, except mine was like... I just read like one page in a Buddhist text once, and I was like, every single word like matched up with what I
can't think of the word, but I know what you mean.
Resonated.
Thank you. That's the word.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And so you hear this thing, and it just clicks, and I think a lot of people get that, and they fail to follow it up and like pursue it and research and look into it. You and I both did, and we both found our path, and I'm so glad we did, because it makes our life so much more full, I believe. There's actually studies showing that people who do have some sort of spiritual belief actually live healthier, happier lives qualitatively, so that's kind of cool. But yeah, I like that you found it through an ideal, and then you're like, okay, this interests me, I'm going to research more, I'm going to read the Bible, I'm going to talk to missionaries, I'm going to figure out what this thing's all about.
Yeah, and like I said, like, literally after I chose to be baptized, 3 weeks later, Melanie and her team were announced to be coming to our church as their mission field, and I was like, I'm going to do whatever I can to help them, because like I said, they're young people in a college town. That's going to be really hard, so I just like made it, like, I just felt like I needed to be there to make that transition as smooth as possible, and in doing that, I learned way more about the Bible and like a deeper understanding of it. So it's strengthened my bond, and then that's how I met Melanie. Right. So, who is obviously, if you don't know who Melanie is, my wife. So,
that's a cool story.
Yeah.
Of how you found your spirituality and your significant other.
Yeah, and I can share that spirituality with it.
Yeah, that's so cool. Yeah, Callie was. I think she was practicing some Buddhist ideals without even knowing it before we started hanging out and dating. We knew each other like 10 years ago. We both worked at the same mental health facility, and she had a crush on me, and I had no idea she was dating somebody else at the time.
I remember telling you that story.
Yeah, so she was crushing hard, I guess, on my masculinity, man.
That's so hot.
Yeah, and so yeah, and then I moved on from there, and she moved on with her life, and then we reconnected when she broke up with him, and you know, we started hanging out, and she didn't really know much about Buddhism, but she, when I would tell her about Buddhism and like sort of the things that I try and follow, the ideals and the values, she's like, oh wait, I do that too, and then she started to adopt some of the Buddhist practices. So she started wearing the beads. This actually became part of our wedding.
Yeah, you know, you told me about that because I like your beads. You're like, it's actually what we exchange at the wedding.
Yeah,
it's like,
so
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's our wedding beads. So I wanted to incorporate Buddhism in a non-traditional way into our wedding, and so yeah, when I proposed to her, the very next day we ordered our own beads. We picked out our own, and then as soon as we got them in the mail, we exchanged them. It's like, here, you wear yours, I'll wear mine for a year, and we'll just charge them up with positive energy about the marriage to come. And then on our wedding day, we'll exchange them back, and we'll give each other our own beads.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. So then at the wedding, we exchanged the beads, and you know, put it around each other's necks, and it really was kind of like a spiritual, cosmic, vibrational, charged up exchange.
I mean,
to
she
bond
just,
our souls.
when you like you say, you filled it up with your own spirit, and you're giving it. It's just like, hey, I'm giving like a part of me to you.
Exactly.
That's really what it is, and I'm like, that's hey.
And,
I understand.
and
it
was way cheaper than a diamond ring. That was part of it. And both of us have strong values against the diamond trade and the whole thing behind blood diamonds and stuff. So we were like, we don't want to do the Western wedding. It doesn't have any meaning to us. We're just going to do it our own way and screw the diamonds.
Yeah, that's. I mean, the whole tradition of having an engagement ring and an actual wedding ring. I was like, I just want one ring.
Yeah, do you wear a ring?
I usually do, but I have to take it off because for work.
Yeah.
Because if I hit it on something, my finger swells up, and then I have to deal with that, and I don't want it to fall off. So
you don't want to cut your finger off.
I'm trying to get those silicone rings, but for her, she actually picked out her own antique-looking ring.
Nice.
And I actually got her good with her proposal. So
if you really want to be into jiu-jitsu, they make ranked rings. So you can buy a white belt.
A white belt ring.
And then when you get blue belt,
change it up.
So on my sunglasses, they are Leo optics, which are jiu-jitsu inspired glasses. So they're made out of bamboo, and they're made by jiu-jitsu guys and really cool guys, and they sponsor jiu-jitsu people in tournaments. And so I painted on one of the ears,
the temple things.
Yeah, a brown belt on there.
Oh, nice.
And I've done it since purple belt, so I painted the belt on there, and then every time I get a stripe, I just paint a stripe on there. So
that's awesome. It's
kind of like these are like keychains that signify your rank.
And I've actually been thinking about getting a keychain, just
because
it's like, of course I have my belt to signify.
You can't carry that around.
But I can't like just wear it all the time.
It'd be awesome to wear it to King Supers. Everyone's looking at you like, who the hell is this karate dude?
He's wearing a 3-piece suit with a belt on it.
Conor McGregor wannabe. Hell no, Chuck Norris. I have a picture, for those of you guys just listening, we're in the new podcast studio, and I have a couple things up on the wall. I have a freaking sweet picture of Bruce Lee, probably the coolest picture I've ever seen of Bruce Lee. His facial expression, just it's like this stoic focus. He's like, I'm going to rip your head off. But I'm super calm at the same time. And so I have that up. And then this is my grandma, actually. It's a picture of my grandma in her judo gi.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And that's like back in the 50s or 60s.
That's awesome.
Yeah, dude, that's
awesome.
so cool. When judo was not even really that big of a thing here in America. So I have some martial arts inspiration up here. Some spiritual inspiration around here too. You can, those of you at home can't see all the artwork around, but I try and make it sort of related to the theme of the podcast. Yeah. What do you think about the sound quality?
Oh, I am
Pretty
loving
good?
it. Yeah. Like I said, I wish I had this up on my
So, okay, listen to my voice. So I'm going to play with the gain a little bit.
Okay.
Does that make any difference there? Yeah,
Oh, it totally does.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm going to back it off a little bit to make it sound better. I think you sound pretty good. I
Okay,
would say.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, awesome. So I want to get back to Christianity just for a minute. And so I like that you embraced the ideals and then you went to research and studied up on it. How do you currently actually practice, right? Because I see so many people who say, I'm spiritual, I'm religious, I go to church, stuff like that, but then I see people talk the talk but not walk the walk. In all traditions, you know, they'll say, you know, I go to church, I'm really spiritual, we need to treat others as we treat ourselves, and then I look at their personal life and, you know, their kids hate them and just shit's not going well, you know. So how do you? And I think that comes down to practice, right?
Yeah.
You can't just go to church and expect everything to be okay. You have to take the ideals that you learn in church and then apply it to your life and every day. That's what you do with therapy. That's what you do with martial arts. That's what you do with school. You can't just learn it and then leave it where you learned it. You have to take it and apply it, or else the knowledge is nothing.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think what I like to say is that we don't just read the Bible, we live in it. We take it and, like you said, we apply it in our own lives. Where if you just met me, you wouldn't know that I was a Christian. Yeah, exactly. You'd have to ask me, or hey, you want to hang out Sunday morning? Like, sorry, I have to go to church. That's because I try to show it through my action, by what I'm doing, or if I'm holding a Bible, obviously, it's like, oh, he's a Christian. Well, not necessarily, but
I like the Bible, right?
Yeah, I like to show my spirituality through my actions, because that's what it is. That's what we're called to do, is not shove a Bible verses down your throat. It's just that, you know, if I treat someone well, sometimes I've had people go, you know, like, why are you so friendly to people that you don't know? It's like, well, I'm just called to love people. And how did you figure that out? Bible.
That's what all religion is.
Exactly.
Trying to teach.
Yeah.
Love people.
Yeah, and it's like I said, by my life practices at the time when I was in college is just make people's day, and I realized I'm just loving on people. I'm already doing it, and why not better myself by learning more from it? So I just, like you said, I kept going to church and learning, and we always, I think some people have the mindset of going to church and then you're being fed information, and then with the information you just, okay, I got fed, I'm gonna go home for a week and I'll be back to get fed next week. When in reality you're supposed to get fed and share that wealth of knowledge to other people, not necessarily by just, you can speak it like, hey, what'd you learn in church today, or what'd you talk about, or what did they preach today. It's also, hey, someone also needs prayers in their life because they're going through a really hard time, and if you just want to talk to them or just love on them, you feel free to do that too. And I just think that, like I said, living in the Bible is just straight through action.
How do you think believing in what you believe in influences how you make sense of reality, how you make sense of, like we said in the very beginning, those senses, right? We're not just here as physical beings. We have a spiritual self and a much greater purpose with that spiritual self, even though we don't know what it's all about yet necessarily. But how does being a Christian specifically shape how you view things like death, life, rebirth, karma? I mean, these are Buddhist terms, a lot of them, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You get the gist, right? What's this all about?
That's a big question.
I mean, love everyone is the basic code of conduct. Yeah. But what is the purpose of existence?
The purpose of existence.
Yes.
I mean,
how does Christianity tackle that?
For us, it is spreading the word so everyone can, essentially join us in heaven.
And then what happens?
That is
that the end? Then we
I
just
don't think
chill
so.
in heaven?
Well, I mean, I actually had this conversation about what happens in heaven. And some people it's just singing. And I was like, oh man, that sounds terrible for me. But in the Bible it says heaven is a great place where there's a kingdom there, And I was like, does that mean that I'll have a house where I can live? Where
do I have to go to work in this kingdom?
Is there a section where I can go fly on dragons?
Nice.
Or, that kind of stuff. And like, I really don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that there's a power that loves me for who I am no matter what. And that's what it is there's God who's created me. And even though I sin, I make mistakes, that God still loves me. Mm-hmm. And when Jesus came down, he essentially loved everybody and just try to love, like, that's what it is. Just for me to love on people and ask me, why are you the way I am? I believe it's through the Bible, and that draws them closer so someone else can be, saved. I'm not trying to necessarily baptize people. I'm just trying to plant the seed or leave a seed, and if it grows, that's God's plan. If not, then I don't know, because I'm just one person.
I know they say Jesus is the Son of God,
mm-hmm.
right? But now I'm getting the sense that he's not the literal Son of God, but he's just like the human manifestation. He's like a conduit for the message.
He's
right?
The
God isn't like this father figure. Like I hear them say father.
Father, yeah,
right. But he's not literally didn't literally, impregnate the universe and give birth to you, right? Yeah. It's more like Jesus figured out that there's this universal love energy connecting us all, or like there is some reason to our existence, and so he wanted to be the spokesperson for that and like spread that message to people.
That's definitely one way to look at it. For me, he was born through Mary, and Mary didn't have sex. He was just born, and for us, that's why he's the Son of God, and also he has the power of God. He's literally God. He's in human form, and he just came down to sacrifice his only Son to get rid of our sins, pretty much, and for forgiveness of our sins. Excuse me. So I'm sorry, I'm trying to think of the question again.
There wasn't really a question. It was just kind of like I was trying to wrap my brain around the concept of Jesus from a perspective that I could understand. Because I believe that he was a real person, and I believe that he was a spiritual leader, and I believe that he influenced many, many, many people.
In a way, he was a messenger.
Totally.
Yeah, and I feel like he came because in the Old Testament, the Pharisees were following the law, but not for the right reasons. They were terrible to sinners. They casted them out pretty much. When in reality, Jesus came in and goes, "Hey, those are the people we're trying to bring in and take care of them, not to separate ourselves from them, but to be there for them, just because they're, like you said, they're people."
So he's trying to say, like, why are we so divided?
Yeah.
We need to stop dividing ourselves because essentially we're all the same.
Yeah, you're following the law, but not for the right reasons.
Right.
So that's because the Pharisees will try to trick Jesus with questions and to trace something that's against the Bible, but in return he just says, there's this law, but here's the real reason for it, kind of thing. And he did that through I can't think of the word right now. I'm having a total blank, but like stories, that's what he used pretty much.
Mythology.
Yeah, like he used
fables,
fables, but they have the reason and rhyme to it.
Yeah. So in Japanese or other Asian cultures, that would maybe called like a parable.
A parable. Sorry, that's the word.
Yeah.
Parable.
Yeah, like a story that has a deeper
it has a
meaning to life.
Yeah. It's not necessarily right in your face, but there's a lesson to be learned from it.
Right. You have to sit with it for a while. In meditation, there's a practice called a koan, which is like a little riddle that you'll go to like a meditation master and ask him a question, and he'll give you a koan or a riddle.
Yeah.
And it's just like 2 or 3 lines of words, and it usually makes very little sense. It's beautiful sometimes, but then you have to go and like meditate on that koan for like a year or something.
Oh wow.
And then go back and check in and be like, did I get this right? And usually you're way off.
Yeah.
But no, it's interesting how stories are passed down that way, and Christian history is really fascinating to me because the Bible wasn't even written until many, many centuries after
Yeah.
And so it's all these stories passed down through like that game Telephone, right?
Yeah,
and how they changed and interpreted, and some history's left out, right? Like maybe this mushroom cult thing is real and left out, right? Or maybe other things are totally left out and then shaped in a way. And then it's fascinating because then something happened in there, and it happens in other religions too, where it morphed into almost like a business model.
Yeah.
Where the Vatican becomes like a business, and it now collects art and like does all these things, and and you hear about these evangelical people on TV like making millions and millions of dollars off of religion, and you're like, what happened to these ideals, right? That made you fall in love with it in the first place.
I think one big thing is that, say if I died, you know, just, and if, say I you know, in my opinion, if I was wrong about God and Christianity, I know that I lived a life of where I did my best to take care of other people.
Right, you did good.
Yeah, I wasn't, you know, just being rude to everybody and not taking care of them. If someone needed me, just ignoring them, ignoring that need. I did my best to, you know, help my brother and sister. Like either we're blood related or not, or if we're a brother in Christ or we're not. I went out there, lived my life, trying my best to help people. And I know that I might fail, become a person, but at least if I died and if I was wrong, I know I lived a decent life in that aspect.
Yeah, I think again, it's a mantra that I use. An easy way to remember that is that I use is always do more or give more to the collective than I ever take, right? So of course I'm going to have to take from other people too, like support and love, and in order to make it through tough times. But I need to make sure that my existence on this planet that I give much more than I take, and in that way, you know, it's like you leave a positive imprint when you leave.
I like that because, you know, we were at my home last night watching the fight. Yeah. And I love that, because I just grew up making my home a safe place for other people. And
just like your dad.
Yeah, and it's like if you needed, like if anyone from Virginia needed a place, or if anyone really like needed a place, like hey, I need to be somewhere that's away from home or away from work, and just where I can sit down and just be there. Like fine, come over to our place. We don't, you can hang out with you or leave you alone. You know, you can spend time doing whatever, as long as not being destructive, of course. It's just, like I said, giving to people because you just never know when they need something. As long as they're brave enough to ask, or courageous enough to ask. Some people are just afraid to ask for help, and it's like we're always there. So like when, like you guys said, you're all there last night. I'm like, I love this. We're surrounded by positive energy and people who actually care for us.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I indulge, and sometimes I like to indulge in. So as humans, we have this amazing ability to run simulations in our brain. I like to indulge in religious conceptions of heaven in my own mind. Like, oh, what would that be like?
Yeah.
So like even with like with Vikings, right? I'll close my eyes and be like, oh, what would Valhalla be like? Oh, that's a crazy party.
Yeah.
or like Arabic religions, right?
Yeah.
Even like terrorists, right? Who believe they're gonna go see 72 virgins or whatever. Like I'll close my eyes and be like, oh, what would that be like? Okay, like that's some pretty strong motivation to do those things that they're doing, right? Like that would be interesting. But when I fantasize a little bit about Christian concept of heaven, you know, what I've heard in my younger years was like a kingdom of clouds and light and rainbows and everything you ever wanted, and just joy all around and all this stuff. And for me, I think it would be different for everyone, right?
Yeah.
It would be this place that you could manifest anything. And for me, I'm just picturing like beaches and like this great view of like 12 planets, but in closer proximity, right? So you can see them on the sky, and like just this cool place. What do you envision for yourself as like your heaven space? You said dragon. You want like a dragon loading dock?
I mean, like it's just, you know. I think my friends always like, when you go to heaven, like, what's the first thing you want to do?
Right.
And I go, I want to ask God the funniest joke. What's the funniest joke?
But then nothing's ever going to be funny ever again.
No, I mean,
I already heard a better one.
Sorry, guy, but there's this one joke right here that's way better than that one. No, it's just because we're made in His image, and I just want to know, like just walk up to Him, like, hey, what's a good joke? Or I also said that I'd love to know the world's mysteries, like unsolved mysteries. And like, I'm a very simple person. Like, flying dragons, that'd be awesome, but I want to know the unknown. Knowledge. Yeah, I want the unknown. I just want to know what it is.
Yeah, me too.
And
you want the answers.
I want
the secret files.
I want the
files.
I want the X Files. You know, hey, are there aliens? Or you know, there's a series on YouTube where it's like unsolved mysteries, and like I want to know all those. Like, hey, what happened here? Like,
did OJ really do
it?
Yeah,
did OJ really do that kind of stuff. So,
that'd be awesome.
Yeah, some people are like, hey man, that's really boring. Like, I do want to fly. I want to have a lightsaber and do all that kind of stuff. And it's like, I understand that, but sometimes I just want to relax with the people that have passed away, and I want to see them, kind of thing too. But it would be cool to have a dragon. I know Melanie would love to have a dragon.
Yeah.
So.
Have you ever seen Neverending Story?
Yeah.
Falcor. Nice. Yeah. But he's more like a dog.
Yeah, he's a
huge freaking dog.
Flying dog.
Yeah. He's cool.
Yeah.
But in Buddhism, I don't know if you know much about Buddhism, but in Buddhism, they believe in reincarnation, right?
Yeah.
But that's not the whole thing, and that there's these in-between spaces, in-between lives too, called the Bardo, where you can actually travel to multiple dimensions, different worlds. Some worlds are hell realms, some are heaven realms, some are animal realms, and you can be reborn into these realms also.
I didn't even know they had realms.
Yeah.
Wow. That's awesome.
So you don't just get reborn into Earth.
Yeah.
Like, this is a very fortunate place to be born as a human being. But you can be reborn into like the hungry ghost realm, where you have distended stomachs and throats smaller than a straw, so you can't ever get enough sustenance, right?
Oh, wow.
This is the realm of addictions, things like that. Or you can be reborn into the animal realm, where you only have basic survival instincts and fear. You can be reborn into the God realm and literally be a god for a little while. You can be reborn into the demigod realm and be sort of in between human and God realm, and be this interactive space between the two, so kind of like angels, right? Yeah. You can be reborn into all these different realms, and so like in Buddhist philosophy, we've all already been to heaven. We've all already been to hell. We've all lived thousands of lives in all these different places, and we're fortunate right now that we're born in human life, because this is the most fruitful place for learning is in the human life, because we experience both suffering and pleasure, whereas in all the other ones, like it's very one-sided.
Yeah.
And so Buddhists would say that in this human realm, we should be practicing love towards others, right? But that we should also try and create heaven on earth.
Yeah.
That the concept of heaven doesn't have to be some other place that we're going to.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a destination, but that we can have that here right now. And we can do that simply by just changing our mindset. So the world around us might not be perfect, but we can still create a heaven up here. You know, we can create whatever we want.
Yeah.
And a big part of that is loving other people.
Yeah.
When you love other people, they love you back, and that's contributing to that heaven on earth.
Making that peace.
Right.
You know,
if you're angry and bitter and mean to everyone else, you're creating hell on earth for yourself, because other people are going to treat you that way back.
Yeah. That's very true. And I think that, like, first of all, like, if I get angry, I don't want to stay angry very long, because it's a waste of energy. I think it's being angry. I mean, sometimes, it's good to just let out your feelings, but I feel when I get angry, I just get so consumed and tired from it.
It feels toxic,
man.
I just
I'll get angry and just drained. And it's like, this is not how I want to live my life. I don't want to live an angry life. So if I get angry, it's like, okay, calm down, And that's why, like, I think I'm a little bit more patient than usual, is just because I don't want to reach that anger. It's like, I don't want to be there. So like, I'll be more understanding than quick to anger. And so just to create that peace and be understanding, because sometimes, like, people, all they need is someone to understand what they're going through, and they still know how to show it. So they show it through anger.
So in psychology, we learn that anger is a secondary emotion, that it almost always follows the primary emotion of hurt or feeling. So if you feel hurt in any way, if you feel physically hurt,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't know how to express like, oh shit, you just pinched me, that hurt.
Yeah.
Then you express it in anger,
Mm-hmm.
right? If you're emotionally hurt, same thing.
Yeah.
You can't tell someone. If you're spiritually hurt, or
Mm-hmm.
if you're hurt anyway, if your ego is hurt,
Yeah.
or even if you get a threat of harm, we can respond in those ways too. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, recognizing those and changing those patterns is super important too.
Yeah. And I like that, creating that the heaven in your mind.
Yeah.
I definitely feel like it's just keeping that positive mentality. Because if you don't have it, then everything suffers. Everything you do suffers if you don't have that positive mentality.
Right, you could be doing the same activity, and if you're in a bad mindset, it's gonna suck.
Yeah.
If you're in a good mindset, it's gonna be awesome.
I can go to jiu-jitsu and have a positive mindset, and I roll and I learn a lot, or I can have a crappy mindset and like, I'm tired, I don't want to do this, and then I don't learn anything. And people who are around me also suffer because I'm not a good partner, or I didn't give feedback, or that kind of stuff. So it's just, why not just keep that positive mentality to make it better for yourself and for others? And I feel like people forget that.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for sharing Christianity with me.
Yeah,
it's fun to talk about.
I'm still, I'm fairly a Christian baby in a way,
Yeah.
because I haven't been a Christian for probably like 4 years, and like I said, when I was younger, I didn't really learn anything besides just there's a God. And
so, when part of your daily practice does that include prayer too?
yeah,
So that's like, and that's a form of meditation
Yeah.
in and of itself, very intentional and directed. But you do practice prayer, nice.
Yeah, and there's a thing I call like constant prayer. I don't have to have my hands together, bowing down. I can just be talking to God in my head and just be thinking like, hey, I could use some extra help today, or some strength, or Melanie needs some love today. Have someone in her life or in her day that can just be nice to her, this kind of stuff. It's just that, like, it's a positive mindset, and if I need help, I can always reach out to him.
And there's a misconception too, I think, about prayer, that praying for yourself is somehow bad or selfish. But I think praying for yourself is a great thing, as long as it's done for the right reasons, right? Yeah. It can be selfish for sure, and then prayer for other people is even like that's amplified, right?
Yeah.
So that's a selfless act of giving.
It's also like an act of like showing love, because there's people that I could say I almost hate because they've hurt me in some way, but I know, like, okay, I shouldn't say hate. I can say extremely dislike, but I'm gonna pray for them that they see like the decision they chose wasn't a good decision, and they see that and help them see that kind of thing. Because I know that if I was to be that role, I probably wouldn't be the best person to help them because of my attitude towards them. So it's like, I hope they find someone that can be that positive influence in their life, be Christian or not, just someone who can help them do good.
Yeah,
that kind of thing.
So for you, daily practice is a thing, and that's good.
Yeah.
Because you go to church weekly too, but like I said, there's a difference between walking the walk and talking the talk. You do less of the talking about it and more of the walking, right? You're leading through action, less through the talking. And I think that's a good lesson for everybody, that actions really do speak louder than words, especially when it comes to morals and values, and like, lead a good life. Lead a life that, if you had kids watching you all the time, and if you have kids watching you all the time, they're watching you.
Yeah, they're watching. Exactly.
I guarantee, even when you don't think so, they're watching you.
Yeah.
So act as if there's someone watching all the time that you value, that you respect.
And it just helps me so much with, like, even like discipline. One thing I'll do sometimes, but that's one thing I like to work on, is like what my mouth puts out. And if you like, I don't cuss a lot, or hardly ever.
Yeah, me neither. I try not to.
Yeah, it's just
for humor. Maybe.
Yeah, for humor. If I'm angry, probably. If I get really hurt, probably. But in just daily language, I try not to use it. And I've had multiple bosses who've like, you don't cuss, really, do you ever? I'm like, not really. And I work in the construction area all the time, where cussing is everywhere, right? And I heard someone cuss like 3 times in a row to show emphasis. And I was just like, that was unnecessary, because what if you never say those words, and then all of a sudden you just drop an F-bomb? Someone knows, like, oh man, he really means it, like, or he's really angry about it, or whatever it is. So it's just that discipline, like even food. There's fasting, all that kind of stuff. There's ways to do discipline, but I also love the reason for jiu-jitsu is that discipline. Like you said, he's making me uncomfortable. That person, it's like, well, I've been disciplined to and the opponent has been disciplined to make the person not conform, like he says, like don't conform to his body. It's like he's trying to make me hurt, but I know that through my conditioning and just being disciplined and all that kind of stuff, I can push you keep going. And that's how I also use my religion. Like, hey, I know it's hard now, but I have someone who's always looking out for me, and has provided this family of brothers and sisters who I can reach out to.
Nice.
And help me out.
The community is
huge.
huge.
It's very huge, and I try to find community everywhere. Like the gym, right? It's people who are surrounded by almost every day of the week.
It is everywhere if you just open yourself up.
Yeah, like
find
your coworkers. I only have 5 coworkers really. Well, let's see, like 5. I think there's 5 people total, and I treat them as family, because you just treat them better, And no one likes going to work with a mad coworker or who's upset at you when you can just be like, hey, I'm sorry, hey, I know I didn't work as hard yesterday, but I will work hard today, kind of thing. And just be open and like you should be.
Yeah. Do you have like an extra 10 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay, because I want to ask you about your video gaming.
Okay.
Okay, because this is a culture that I'm only mildly familiar with through my own experience. I think I played video games through regular Nintendo, Sega Genesis, Super NES,
all
Nintendo
great systems.
64.
All great systems, by the way.
And then my brother got a PlayStation, and then I think in high school I stopped playing altogether. I haven't really played much since.
Yeah.
So I kind of like capped off my experience
there.
But I have more experience as an addiction counselor and as a mental health provider, like working with addictions for video games. So I see it from that perspective as well as like the dopamine, serotonin rush that people get from it, just like with social media. And then Callie, she used to be big into video games too. Before we started hanging out, she used to be like a top-ranked World of Warcraft team player in the world or something. It's crazy.
She was telling me, and she even knew when she saw my PC. She's like, "What's in your rig?"
Right.
I just knew. I was like, "Oh."
Yeah, super nerd.
Yeah.
I love it. Like, she's like super nerdy, really hot wife. So I want to hear about video games for you, and like what do you do? I know you stream stuff. Like what games do you play? What is it about video games that draws you in so much?
I'm a big story person. I love multiplayer games because you get your teammates, and you get all that kind of stuff.
Camaraderie.
You get camaraderie, and it's pretty much hanging out just over the internet, right? I actually show who I am through a lot of video games when I play multiplayer video game. It's like how I act through it. But for me, my favorite types of games are just story games, because that's like it's just reading a book for me. Just I'm part of it. I get to see it.
It's like choose your own adventure.
Yeah, exactly. And I know it sounds weird, but horror is one of my favorite types of games. And they're like, really?
Resident Evil.
I love Resident Evil.
That scared the shit out of me playing it in the dark when I was a kid. Holy crap.
And it's not the gore or anything. It's literally just, if I die, I made a mistake. And it's not a horror movie. I like horror movies too, but I could be like, that person should have gone in that room. Right. That was stupid, But in a game, it's like I'm controlling the story, and but in the same time, as the story progresses, I learn more about the characters, I learn more about the plot. It's just like I said, it's a book for me. And some people are like, well, you lose all the imagination in reading, because usually when you read a book, you imagine all the characters, what they look like, what they do, how they do it. But in a sense, when I play the game, I'm watching someone else's imagination, what they thought of like the story, and I just love that about it. And when I stream, usually people like to see multiplayer because they like to see the skill in it. And that's okay, but if I have 5 people hanging out with me in a stream, that's great, because first of all they see me for who I am, and they get to enjoy a story with me, and I get to enjoy it with them, and maybe share some laughs along the way. If I get a jump scare, That's hilarious to me because most games don't make me jump scare. They don't make me scared. And there's only a couple games that make me do that. And it's just memorable to do that kind of stuff. And you just gain bonds through people because I see online gaming and the internet in general as extremely toxic places because there's bullying, there's so many things that you can say to people.
There's manipulation, there's
exactly, and
predators.
You don't see people's the senses thing. We don't see their facial reaction when they say things. You don't know if they have some other agenda.
Know if they are who they say they are.
Exactly, yeah. And I have some friends who have come and go through gaming because like if I'm not playing for a whole month, they think I abandoned them without just talking to me about it. Like, hey, I was actually going through a hard time this month, and when I came back, there was no one there for me, kind of thing. When I expected the camaraderie again, and so when I when I do stream, and even though it's hardly ever stream sometimes because I'm just playing a game and no one's in chat because I'm a brand new streamer. I still have that. I'm still giving people that ability to come in and be themselves and still be loved and still be heard, and they won't find it toxic, like a place where I'm not going to cuss at them for doing something stupid or all that kind of stuff.
A place where they're welcome.
Exactly. And I know that you can play a video game, and I played a game called Dead by Daylight, where there's a killer and there's 4 survivors. And I like the survivor aspect of it because I'm being chased. I get the adrenaline rush from it. And killing is like a power, position. And I'm like, I really don't want that. I just want the adrenaline and escaping.
Right. You get to fake kill people in jiu-jitsu every day.
Yeah. I was like, that's boring. So for me, there's a lot of toxicity. Like, oh, this killer did this. I'm like, he's just playing the game. We're all just playing the game. Sure, he did this, but who cares? That's one round out of whatever. And there's one game where I played 1,000 hours in it. You can see the record, 1,000 hours, called Rainbow Six Siege. And I had to stop playing because people were just so toxic. They're calling you out like you're stupid for missing your shots, you suck. And it's like, I came here to have fun. And the people ruin it. So it's like, if I play with other people, I want to be that person like, hey, I want to play with him. I want to play with Chris because he makes it more fun. Or I want to watch Chris play the story game because he makes, first of all, I can't afford to play the game, so I want to see him play it. Or
so that's why you started your own thing, is so that you created that space that you saw was much needed. A place where everyone's welcome because you saw the toxicity.
Yeah, and I know it's like, if I stream right now, maybe 1 or 2 people pop in.
But still, you're doing what Gandhi said. You're being that change you wish you saw in the world.
It's just, I want to create a space where, like, say if I ever stream, where I can do it every day, and I get followers. I want to have him be that safe spot where hey, I want to watch Chris today because he's made that space where I can just talk about my day, and be heard, and have even if I can't read chat because there's so many people typing, that the other people in that group can be there for each other, kind of thing. And I feel like that's what we need the most right now in this world. It's like there's someone there. Because people feel alone right now for no reason, and they go to online, and they end up getting in a worse position because someone catfished them or manipulated them for this, or I got left. When I got left from friends because they didn't see what's going on in my life. It's just being open with each other and not being toxic.
Yeah.
So
for you, gaming is a big place for connection.
Yeah, it's very big for me.
Yeah, and I think so many people out there who are also gamers also get that camaraderie, that connection from it. There is some science behind the chemical stuff that's going on in the brain that you get victories in video games, and you literally get a serotonin, dopamine dump in your brain, just like gambling. Just like sex, just like other drugs, and it feels great. It makes you want to come back over and over. And video game developers know this, and they make it that way for a reason. They make fear-based games, scary games, for that reason too. You want to fear that, or you want to feel that adrenaline, right? And that's a rush, right? And so you keep going back for more. But I love how you...
The Conversations with the Mind podcast is sponsored by mindops.com. You can find us at www.mind-ops.com. We're an eclectic counseling company providing mental health and mental performance services to individuals, small and large groups, teams, businesses, military, through face-to-face sessions or at a distance using phone or confidential video chat apps. We bring a unique Buddhist Western lens and specialize in general psychotherapy for all mental difficulties, sport and performance psychology for performance enhancement, addiction counseling for any maladaptive or destructive habits, and psychedelic integration therapy to make the most from your visionary medicine work. We are available as well for corporate workshops to address the needs of your employees' wellness.